The 1930s were a time of global turmoil. The Great Depression had gripped the world, leaving nations reeling from economic hardship. In Japan, this instability fueled a rise in nationalism and militarism. The military gained increasing influence within the government. They argued that Japan, a resource-poor island nation, needed to expand its territory to survive. Their eyes fell upon mainland Asia, rich in raw materials and ripe, they believed, for the taking. Japan's expansionist ambitions were driven by a potent mix of economic anxieties, military ambition, and a sense of national destiny. They believed they were destined to rule Asia, bringing their vision of order to their neighbors. This sense of superiority, coupled with a disregard for the rights of other nations, would have devastating consequences. The seeds of conflict were sown in the 1920s. Japan, allied with the victorious powers of World War I, gained control of former German territories in China. This taste of imperial power, however, only fueled their appetite for more. They looked with envy at the vast resources of Manchuria, a region in northeastern China. In 1931, using a staged incident as a pretext, the Japanese army invaded Manchuria. It was a blatant act of aggression, condemned by the League of Nations. Japan, however, was undeterred. They withdrew from the League and established a puppet state in Manchuria, renaming it Manchukuo. The world watched with apprehension as the rising sun cast a long shadow over Asia. The invasion of Manchuria in 1931 marked a turning point in Japanese history. It was a clear signal that Japan, under the sway of its military leadership, was willing to use force to achieve its goals. The incident that sparked the invasion, an explosion on a Japanese-owned railway line, was widely believed to have been orchestrated by the Japanese military themselves. The incident, known as the Mukden Incident, provided the pretext for a full-scale invasion. Japanese forces quickly overran Manchuria, facing little resistance from the Chinese forces stationed there. The League of Nations, formed after World War I to prevent future conflicts, proved powerless to stop them. The conquest of Manchuria was brutal. Japanese soldiers committed atrocities against the civilian population, and many thousands were killed or displaced. The region's resources were plundered to feed Japan's growing industrial and military machine. The international community, preoccupied with the Great Depression, did little to intervene. Manchuria became a testing ground for Japan's imperial ambitions. It established a puppet government and installed Puyi, the last emperor of China, as its figurehead. This act of aggression emboldened the Japanese military and set the stage for further expansion in the years to come. The world had been warned. Japan was a force to be reckoned with, and its ambitions would not be easily contained. The invasion of Manchuria was just the beginning of Japan's aggressive expansion in Asia. With Manchuria firmly under their control, Japan turned its attention southward towards the heart of China. In 1937, another incident, this time at the Marco Polo Bridge near Beijing, provided the spark for a full-scale invasion. Japanese forces clashed with Chinese troops, and within weeks, a wider war had erupted. The Second Sino-Japanese War, as it became known, would rage for 8 long years. It was a brutal conflict marked by incredible violence and suffering on both sides. Japanese troops, often poorly disciplined and driven by a sense of racial superiority, committed widespread atrocities against Chinese civilians. The rape of Nanking, in which Japanese soldiers massacred hundreds of thousands of Chinese civilians and prisoners of war, stands as one of the most horrific episodes of the 20th century. The city, then the capital of China, was subjected to weeks of unimaginable brutality. Despite being poorly equipped and outmatched, the Chinese people fought back with fierce determination. Led by the nationalist government of Chiang Kai-shek and the communist forces of Mao Zedong, they waged a war of attrition against the invaders. The conflict would consume China, devastating its infrastructure and claiming millions of lives. Japan's reign of terror was finally brought to an end in August 1945, when atomic bombs were dropped on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, forcing Japan to surrender. Please like, comment and subscribe for more content related to World War II. Have a great day.